Hello, my friends. Before this story truly begins, I want you to imagine something. Not a battlefield. Not gunfire. Not war. Just silence. Rows upon rows of empty military boots stretch across the tarmac, outside a United States military base. Each pair, polished, aligned, unmoving. To some, they are just boots. But to those who understand, each pair is a life. A heartbeat. A story of courage, sacrifice, and an unbreakable will. These boots once stood tall. They marched. They ran toward danger, so others could sleep in peace. The morning sun reflects off scattered dog tags, lying quietly on tables near the barracks. Metal catching light. Names catching memory. The bass hums softly. Not with noise, but with stories that were never fully told. I remember the first time I saw those boots. I was just a boy, standing still, watching soldiers march in perfect rhythm. Left. Right. Left. Their boots struck the ground, and that sound echoed straight into my heart. It wasn't just a beat. It was a promise. A promise that America's sons and daughters were ready to give everything to protect a freedom most of us never even have to think about. From that moment, I knew I didn't just admire the uniform. I felt called by it. I wanted to wear those boots, to feel the weight of responsibility, the pride of honor, the fire of loyalty to my country. My love for the Army was never a phase, never a passing dream. It was a calling, deep-rooted, unshakable, one that would shape every choice I made in life. I stepped onto the base as a recruit, and there they were again. Rows of boots. Only this time, they weren't empty. They were waiting for new stories, new dreams, new names that history would one day remember. Every drill, every sunrise run, every salute to the flag strengthened the bond between me and every soldier who had stood before me. Because the Army isn't just a profession. It's a family, a sacred duty, a way of life. And if, while listening to this, you feel even the smallest spark of respect for these men and women, take a moment. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Because every click is a small tribute to the bravery, sacrifice, and dedication of those who wear the uniform. The first morning of training hit me like a thunderclap. The sun had barely risen, yet the base was already alive. Boots slammed against concrete. Not randomly, but in rhythm. Relentless. Unforgiving. Then came the voice. The drill sergeant's command. Cut through the air like a whip. Move. 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 Every fiber of my body screamed in protest. Lungs burning, muscles shaking. Yet something unexpected happened. My heart surged with pride. Because this was the path I had dreamed of. The road of discipline, of courage, of honor. In that first week, I learned something fast. The Army isn't just marching in formation or lifting heavy weight. It's about precision, respect, commitment. A salute isn't just a gesture. It's a declaration, a silent promise to something greater than yourself. I watched the seasoned recruits closely. Their movements, flawless. Their posture, unshakable. Even under relentless pressure. They never broke. Their confidence was contagious. And step by painful step, I chased it. Sleep became a luxury. Soreness became a badge of honor. Every morning, I rose with the sun. Muscles stiff, mind racing. But with every push-up, every obstacle course, every shouted command, my love for the army grew stronger. It wasn't about the pain. It was about transformation. I was no longer the boy who admired soldiers from a distance. I was becoming one. That's where the bonds were forged. In the hardest moments. There was Marcus, a wiry kid from Ohio, fast as the wind, heart of a lion. And Jasmine, unshakable under pressure, her determination lifting everyone around her. Together, we endured the drills, the marches, the relentless tests of our character. We weren't just recruits anymore. We were brothers, sisters, bound by struggle. Some nights, I sat quietly in the barracks, staring at rows of polished boots, lined neatly by the door. And I wondered, what stories did they carry? The laughter, the fear, the victories, the sacrifices. I thought of soldiers far from home, protecting lives they would never meet. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't training for a job. This was preparation for a life devoted to something noble, something eternal. Then came the day. I almost broke. The obstacle course felt endless. The weight on my back, unbearable. Doubt whispered, "You're not strong enough. Not disciplined enough. Not worthy enough." But then, I remembered the boots. The empty boots outside the base. Each one a life. Each one a story of courage. I thought of soldiers who faced the unimaginable and never flinched. And suddenly, my exhaustion turned into fire. I pushed harder, ran faster, and overcame what I once believed impossible. Even now, telling this story, I can feel the rhythm of those first days. The struggle, the camaraderie, the triumph. And if you feel inspired, even just a little, take a moment. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Because every like, every subscription, is a small tribute to the men and women who serve with courage and honor. By the end of the first month, I could see the change. My posture, straighter. My resolve, stronger. My respect for the army, deeper than ever. I had become part of something larger than myself. A legacy. A lineage of dedication, honor, and unwavering love for the United States. The journey was only beginning. Ahead lay deployments, danger, tests I couldn't yet imagine. But the foundation was set. And whatever waited beyond that gate, I would face it. With courage, with pride, and with unshakable loyalty. The day our deployment orders came down, the base felt different. Quieter. Heavier. The laughter in the barracks faded, replaced by long silences and thoughtful stares. Training had prepared our bodies, but nothing truly prepares the heart for what comes next. As we packed our gear, I noticed something. How carefully everyone folded their uniforms. How deliberately they placed their boots at the foot of their bunks. Those boots were no longer symbols of training. They were about to walk into uncertainty. I tied my laces slowly, feeling the weight settle in. This wasn't a drill. This was real life. The flight overseas felt endless. Inside the aircraft, Rows of soldiers sat shoulder to shoulder. Some slept. Some stared into nothing. Others clutched photos of loved ones. Like anchors. Marcus sat beside me. His usual grin was gone, replaced by a calm seriousness. "Crazy how quiet it gets," he said. "Right before everything changes." I nodded. Because he was right. There was a strange peace in that moment. A shared understanding. Whatever lay ahead, we would face it together. When we landed, the heat hit first. Then the dust. Then the reality. The base was rugged. Functional. Always alert. Guard towers cut into the horizon. Eyes scanning every movement beyond the wire. This wasn't the America we knew. But it was a place. America had sent us. To protect something bigger than comfort. Days blurred into routine. Patrols. Briefings. Watch shifts stretching deep into the night. Every sound mattered. Every shadow demanded attention. And yet, amid all that tension, something remarkable happened. Our bond grew stronger than ever. Jasmine proved herself again and again. Steady under pressure. Her calm grounding everyone around her. Marcus became the heartbeat of the unit. Quiet jokes in quiet moments. Lifting spirits when fatigue crept in. And me? I learned what it truly meant. To stand for others. Not just beside them. But for them. One evening, after a long patrol, we returned exhausted. As I pulled off my boots, I noticed a small scuff on the toe. Nothing major. But it stopped me. That scuff meant miles walked. Ground covered so others wouldn't have to. Risk taken, quietly. Without applause. And my mind went back. To the empty boots at home. Some nights. We gathered in a dim corner of the base. Sharing stories. About childhood. About dreams. About what we'd do when we got back. Those conversations carried us. They reminded us we were human. That behind every uniform was a son, a daughter, a parent, a friend. And if you're listening right now, feeling the weight of these moments, take a second. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Because it keeps these stories alive. It honors the people behind the uniforms. Then came the day. Everything changed. The call came fast. A patrol. High risk. No room for hesitation. We moved as one. Training and instinct merging into action. The world narrowed. Commands. Hand signals. Heartbeats pounding in our ears. Time slowed. Every step forward mattered. Fear was there. Of course it was. But it didn't control us. Purpose did. We weren't there for glory. We were there for each other. For the mission. For the promise we made. The moment we put on those boots. When it was over. When the dust finally settled. We sat in silence. No cheering. No celebration. Just gratitude. We were safe. For now. That night, lying on my bunk, staring at the ceiling, I realized something profound. Loving the army was never about loving war. It was about loving the people who stand in the gap. The ones who show up so others can sleep peacefully. The ones who carry fear quietly and courage loudly. The morning started like any other. A pale sky. Cold air. The familiar weight of gear resting on tired shoulders. No one said it out loud. But we all felt it. That quiet tension. The kind that settles deep in your chest. Right before something irreversible happens. The mission briefing was short. Direct. Dangerous. We moved out. Just after sunrise. The road stretched ahead. Silent. Unforgiving. Every step echoed inside my helmet. Every breath sounded louder than it should have been. Marcus walked a few paces ahead of me. Rifle steady. Focus sharp. Jasmine scanned the horizon. Calm, precise. The same calm that had saved us. More times than I could count. Then. Everything changed. The explosion came. Without warning. The ground shook violently. Throwing us off balance. Dust swallowed the air. For a split second. Sound disappeared. Replaced by a ringing silence. That felt unreal. Training took over. We moved. We secured. We shouted names. Marcus. No answer. I ran toward the smoke. My heart pounded. Harder than it ever had before. And then I saw him. Lying still. Helmet cracked. His boots. Untouched by movement. Time froze. We did everything we could. Everything. But some moments don't bend to courage or will. Some moments only leave scars. Marcus was gone. There are no words strong enough to describe that weight. One moment. He was there. Alive. Laughing. Breathing. The next. He became a memory. Carried in silence. That night. The base felt hollow. No jokes. No laughter. Just boots lying neatly by bunks. And one empty space. Where Marcus's should have been. I stared at that space. Longer than I want to admit. Those empty boots weren't just gear anymore. They were proof. Proof that freedom has a cost. Proof that courage sometimes demands everything. The memorial was simple. Rifles inverted. Dog tags hanging silently. A helmet resting gently on top. And the boots. Polished. Perfect. Empty. Every soldier stood still. Heads bowed. Even the wind seemed to respect the moment. That was when I finally understood. The army doesn't create heroes. It reveals them. And if this moment, the sacrifice, the silence, the truth, is touching your heart, pause for just 1 second. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Because these stories deserve to be heard. These sacrifices deserve to be remembered. After Marcus, everything felt different. Every patrol carried his absence. Every laugh sounded quieter. Every night felt longer. But something else grew too. Resolve. We didn't fight harder out of anger. We stood stronger. Out of respect. We carried Marcus with us. In every step. Every decision. Every moment we chose courage. Over fear. Weeks later. When our deployment ended. We boarded the aircraft to go home. Seats were filled. Gear was stacked. But not every soldier returned. As the plane lifted off, I looked down at my boots. Scratched. Worn. Heavy with meaning. And I made a promise. No matter where life took me, I would never forget. The boots left behind. Because empty boots aren't symbols of loss alone. They are symbols of love. of loyalty, of sacrifice beyond words. And this story wasn't over yet. Homecoming is supposed to be joyful. Flags waving, families smiling, tears of relief. And yes, there was all of that. But there was something else too. Something heavier. Something no one really prepares you for. Absence. When we stepped off the aircraft, applause filled the air. People cheered. Children ran into open arms. Mothers cried into their sons' shoulders. Fathers held their daughters tighter than ever before. It was beautiful. Overwhelming. And yet, in the middle of that joy, my eyes searched for faces that weren't there. Marcus should have been walking beside us. Every welcome home banner felt incomplete. Every smile carried a shadow. Because coming home doesn't mean leaving everything behind. It means bringing the memories with you. Some warm, some painfully sharp. That night, I went home and placed my boots by the door. Scuffed, faded, worn thin. I couldn't bring myself to clean them. Those marks told a story. They were proof of where I'd been and who I'd stood beside. Days turned into weeks. Life slowly returned to routine. But something inside me had changed forever. Crowded places felt different. Silence felt louder. And every time I saw a uniform, my heart responded. Before my mind could. One afternoon, I attended a small ceremony at a local base. Rows of empty boots were laid out again, just like the first time. Each pair represented a soldier who didn't make it home. Families stood nearby, some holding photos, some holding hands, some simply staring. Then I saw her, a little girl, kneeling in front of a pair of boots, far too large for her to understand. She touched them gently. And in that moment, everything became real. Not history. Not a story. Real. Personal. Forever. Standing there, I finally understood something powerful. The strength of the U.S. Army doesn't come from weapons or machines. It comes from people. Ordinary men and women who choose to stand when it would be easier to step back. Who choose service over comfort. Who choose others over themselves. And if you're still listening, still here, still feeling this story, take a moment. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Because remembering matters. Honoring these sacrifices matters. America is not just land or borders. America is a promise. A promise protected by those willing to wear the uniform. A promise defended by boots that march forward, even when fear walks beside them. A promise paid for by some who never come home. Loving America means loving the people who protect it. Loving the U.S. Army means understanding that behind every uniform is a heartbeat, a family, a story, and sometimes a sacrifice beyond words. Those empty boots? They are not empty. They are filled with courage, with loyalty, with love for this country. And as long as America stands, as long as freedom matters, those boots and the heroes behind them will never be forgotten. Years pass. Life moves forward, the way it always does. Streets stay busy. Children go to school. Flags wave quietly in the wind. To many, they're just symbols. But to those who know, they are promises. Sometimes, I visit that base again. Not in uniform. Just as a citizen. Just as someone who remembers. And every time, I stop at the same place. Rows of empty military boots. Silent. Powerful. Unmoving. Each pair once walked through dust and danger. Each carried someone who chose duty over safety. Someone who stood in the dark, so others could live in the light. I kneel sometimes, run my fingers over the leather, and I think of Marcus, of Jasmine, of countless names. The world may never fully know, but America exists. Because they did. Freedom is not free. It never was. It's paid for in early mornings and sleepless nights, in long deployments and missed birthdays, in letters written home and promises whispered under the stars. And sometimes, it's paid for in empty boots. Loving the U.S. Army doesn't mean loving war. It means loving the people who stand up when others sit down, respecting sacrifice made quietly, without applause, and loving America. Truly loving America means understanding this truth. America is strong because her people are brave. America is free because her soldiers are faithful. America endures because her army stands watch, even when no one is looking. So if this story stayed with you till the end, do one simple thing. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Not for algorithms. Not for views. But as a silent salute to those who wore the uniform, and to those whose boots now stand empty. Because as long as those boots are remembered, as long as their stories are told, America will never forget who she is. God bless the United States of America. God bless the U.S. Army. And God bless every soul who chose service over self.